The president of Bellator MMA is here. Look at this. I'm just alerting the masses, Scott. I'm alerting the masses that you are here. We're doing this on the fly. How cool is this? Scott Coker in the house, Bellator president. Amazing. He stuck around. He was supposed to fly out after Bellator NYC, but you said, you know what? I need to come on Monday to my new studio, my new set, and just kind of have sort of a State of the Union, digest it a bit, 48 hours, right?
Yeah, it was a great show. Something we're really proud of. It's, I think when you look at all the great fights that we had, and, they had some upsets, they had some wins. Some of the guys that we thought were going to win didn't win, but
yes.
And then there's like the freak accident or the injury with Michael, which you'll talking about later.
Yes.
But all in all, I think it was a fantastic night of fights.
Okay, I actually got some breaking news. You probably know this already, but I got a press release.
Okay. From
the good folks at Spike TV. The biggest night in Bellator MMA history got off to a very strong start on Saturday night. Main event of Bellator 180 from MSG drew 1.1 million viewers. Overall, Bellator 180 delivered 901,000 viewers from 8 to 10 p.m. That's
fantastic. That's a great number. And I know that we were number one worldwide on Twitter for the entire pay-per-view, as well as number one U.S.
Wow.
Number one on Google during the entire pay-per-view. So strong social numbers. My guys are really excited.
So 48 hours later, it was kind of cool to listen to you speak. And again, thank you so much for doing this. This is a lot of fun to have you. Usually you're in the Bay Area, so this is great. You like the new set?
I should have brought you my Warrior stuff. You could put my Warrior stuff.
We got some Bellator gloves there. See that?
Oh, I like that. Yeah, that's nice. This is great.
We've got Gina over there.
Yeah, Gina's awesome.
The legend, the GOAT.
I like the Bob Sapp Thriller.
We got the Bob Sapp CD. We got it all. There's something.
I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was cool to hear you talk at the press conference because you've been promoting for what, 3 decades?
Yeah, 32 years.
And so you said, like, I could tell you weren't just saying it. This was special to you. Like, for a promoter to run MSG.
Yeah.
That's kind of, not to say that you made it, but I could tell that afterwards you were kind of in awe of everything, right? How would you describe it?
You know what? For me personally, it was a milestone goal to come to the Garden, because really I wanted to come here just to go to a sporting event, whether it was a Knicks game or a Rangers game. one of my bucket list items was I want to go to the Garden and I want to watch a fight or a basketball game. But to come here and to have the first event be a sporting event that I promoted, I was involved with, it was really special. And when you walk in there, just even from the weigh-ins, you're stepping on the same scales that Ali Frazier were on. It just has that aura, that magic dust about it, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Overarching, as a fan, as a follower, I would say that this was an incredibly successful week for Bellator. There were no incidents leading up. You had the media day. I thought it was great in Viacom. You had the press conference, well attended. You have Kevin K there. The weigh-ins, no big misses as far as weight is concerned. Some of the undercard guys, no brawls or anything like that. So every step of the way, nothing went wrong. Of course, Mitrione fights and like any of those roadblocks. And then you get to the fight, and to me, what it said was like, for your team, for your perspective, yeah, Aaron Pico losing isn't the greatest thing, but as a fan, what do I want from my product as far as sports is concerned? Unpredictability.
That's right.
Right? So when I pay $50, I don't want, and let's be honest, the knock in the past, and correct me if you disagree, sometimes people said, these Strikeforce fights are great, but they're kind of one-sided, right? They're just showcase fights. Like, we know that this guy's going to win. Well, the world thought Aaron Pico was going to win, and he lost. That's what you want as a fan. So from your perspective, like, we can say, this maybe wasn't a great night for Bellator, but from a fan's perspective, I feel like it was a home run. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I look at it completely different. This is a contest. These people are fighting in a cage.
Yeah.
And sometimes some guys, going to get upset. Sometimes the guy, you never know. A fight's a fight, and somebody's going to, be in front of you trying to take you down or punch you in the face. Things happen. And so to me, it's just like, hey, when I sit back, I'm just like, whoever wins, wins, and that's just how it is.
But tell me what's going on in your head when you see him get dropped and submitted by Zach Freeman, who is a gigantic underdog. What are you thinking at that point?
You know what? I'm thinking, here's a kid that's 20 years old, had a lot of pressure on him. He was built as the phenom and and had a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
I know he'll be back, and I'm not worried about that kid. I know that he'll be back and he'll come back in a strong way. But as far as the amount of pressure that we put on him, some people gave us a little criticism. Hey, should he fought somebody with less fights? This is something we talked to his management about, and they wanted even a bigger challenge than what we.
Really?
They wanted to go, they were throwing names out there that was just, a little bit aggressive.
So you had to tell them,
yeah,
slow
we
your
toned
roll.
it down a little bit.
Okay.
And Aaron felt he could do it, and their whole camp felt they could do it. So this came from a directive from, their side, and we said, okay. We think, hey, we trust you guys. You know that you guys have a great the grasp of knowledge because of all the guys that you guys have brought up.
Sure,
And,
we're talking about Zinkin.
yeah,
right?
we're talking about Zinkin and Bob and those guys, and you know, on any given night, anything can happen, and it just didn't work out Aaron's way.
In hindsight, though, do you regret making the decision? Do you regret not putting him in there against an 0-0 guy?
I mean, I think that no, not at all, because you know he's in a no-win situation. He fights a guy with no wins, you know, that has a day job, let's say, and then all of a sudden he's hey, you guys are, you know, setting him up,
wrong.
and you know
he's 0-0. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's still, it's like, you know, you can't. We're in a no-win situation at that point. So listen, it is what it is. But I know Aaron will be back. You know, Zach will be back. Now we have, you know, the altar boy, and you know, it's like you know, he's. I think that you pointed out that he has a day job with furniture, and now we got a new.
I hope he gets that deal with Viacom. He's trying to sell them some.
He was there this morning when I stopped by.
Get out of here! Get out of here! Well, he did say though he felt disrespected. Like he felt that he upset you all. Like you guys weren't happy. No, not at all. He said that to me afterwards. Is that inaccurate?
No, that's come on. It's not like that at all.
Okay.
It's like saying, you know, the Mitrione situation. Oh, you're mad at Mitrione for beating Fedor. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, this is sport. It happens.
Okay. Now with Aaron, do you want to like tell him like go take some time off, you know, regroup, come back into the year, or is this the kind of situation where you want him to get right back in there?
I mean, that's something we'll have to talk to his management about, because I think he's under suspension of some kind anyway.
Okay, yeah.
So he's going to have to take 90 days off, and regroup, and maybe he's got to get to the gym for, you know, a certain amount of time and start, you know, getting ready again. But, you know, at the end of the day, he'll be back before the end of the year, I'm sure.
Did you talk to him in the back? Did you have a chat?
I said hello. I said, hey, keep your chin up.
Okay.
You know,
was he devastated?
I think he was upset.
Yeah.
You know, he was upset.
I have to say, I was so impressed that he went to the press conference.
Yeah.
20-year-old kid, right? He's not required to go. He's not in the main or co-main.
Right.
He showed up there with his suit, took all the questions like a man. I mean, really, we've seen bigger names not come to the press conference, right?
We won't mention those.
Yes. But that was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, he's you know, been through the Olympic, you know, training and all that, and the World Wrestling Team training, and you know, I think he puts most of the pressure on himself, and he wants to win, right? He knows the pressure of the outside, all those great stories he got coming into this fight, and no one was talking about Zach, right? And so that's why Zach was probably a little bit upset, because he wasn't getting the exposure to Aaron. But you know, Aaron was, you know, supposed to be the kid that could do it, and I think he still can, but it just didn't work out with this fight.
So you don't feel like this is disastrous? I mean, he's front page of ESPN on Saturday.
Yeah,
he was getting a ton of buzz. So you don't feel like, you know, oh my God, what have we done?
No, not
okay.
at all. Not at all.
I was watching you. I have to say I was watching you because I was sitting right next to you, and I appreciate getting a front row seat. It's been a while since I got, you know,
about time you finally came to our fights.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Last time they were at MSG, I was sitting in the last row in back of a screen, but we won't get into that. Your team was very nice.
Great.
I watched you and I was like, you were kind of laughing like, wow, I can't believe, like you did not seem devastated. However, I looked at you after Michael Chandler and there was kind of a look on your face as you were walking in there to give Primus the belt, like, holy crap, like this back to back. Was that a bit of a gut punch?
That was like, you know, what happened is like, I was concerned about his foot. Like, did he really break it? I mean, you know, like, is he really hurt? I mean, I didn't know what happened. And when I went in there and Michael was saying to the guy, it better be broken. He's telling to the official, you better be broken because he stopped the fight. Michael was upset. It better be broken. And so I go to Michael, what happened? He goes, is it broke? He goes, yes, definitely broke. But I don't think it was broke.
Oh, you don't think?
No, I heard, this is what I heard. He explained to you, but somebody told me he got kicked right behind the calf and it shut off his nerve and his foot went numb. Oh. And that's like you get a dead arm. That's what happened. He got kicked so hard in the nerve that it deadened his leg, and then he just couldn't stand on it anymore. That's why he kept, you know, it was like, you know.
So maybe if he had a few more minutes, sat on the stool between rounds 1 and 2, he could have been okay.
Yeah, but that's illegal because, you know, the guy kicked the leg, it did the damage, so they give him an 8 count or whatever, and then
no. Maybe if he gutted it out because they stopped the fight.
Oh yeah.
Do you think? Are you okay with the stoppage?
Well, at that time, you know what? It's like I thought his leg was broken, so of course I was okay with the stoppage. So, you know, I mean, to me, the health and safety of the fighter first, right? And I thought Michael's foot was broke too. The way it was moving.
Yes.
I thought his ankle broke. Like it was just flopping all over the place.
It was hard to watch.
It was really hard. That was a look on my face like, oh my God, this kid's really hurt. You know?
Yeah. But what I mean, holy crap!
Tough guy.
People throw around the word like warrior and all this stuff. He almost dropped him.
Yeah, he went after him, and that's why Michael Chandler. Come on, he's a beast, man. This guy is the Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
of
you
MMA.
said that beforehand,
and he brings it, man. And I think people saw his heart. I think the fans in New York love him now.
Yeah. Oh, they were giving him way more cheers. I kind of felt bad for Primus because he didn't do anything wrong. He actually inflicted damage. He did what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, he did.
Not fair to, but I know the fans were unhappy that the fight ended that way. Did you see this clip of the corner guy? No, actually, I think it was a New York State athletic official moving the stool.
No, I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen this?
No.
Well, so when he's talking to the doctors, he gets up, I think, to try to show them that he's okay.
Okay.
And during that period, someone removed the stool under him. He gets back down and falls on his butt. And that's when they called it off. I think that they thought he couldn't stand anymore, and he fell on his butt.
Oh, wow. I have to go check that out.
Not good.
No, this is the first time someone brought it to me.
Yeah,
it's terrible.
really?
But I mean, listen, I thought he was hurt. Everybody thought he was hurt.
Yeah.
The guy, that ankle couldn't balance himself. He couldn't even stand up. I mean, he was, and I go, in 32 years, I've never seen anything like that happen.
Yeah.
Usually when the break happens, the guy is falling, he's rolling all over the ground, he's in pain. He's in pain because his ankle broke. But he didn't seem to be in pain, but his foot wasn't working. That was, to me, I was trying to figure out, like, what's going on here, right? Because, I've seen people where the guy kicking and the guy blocking, the guy breaks his shin from the block, right?
Yeah.
But what does that guy do? Automatically goes to the ground, starts screaming,
Yeah.
And Michael wasn't doing that, so I'm like, I don't I was confused.
Have you talked to him?
Not yet.
And we will talk to him. So maybe we'll talk to him first, or you'll cross paths. Do you want to do an immediate rematch? Is that what makes most sense? Because it was a little inconclusive.
Yeah, Michael deserves to have a shot.
Yeah.
Back at his belt. So
do you know how long it will be?
I don't. I haven't talked to him.
Maybe this is good news.
Yeah, I just heard this this morning.
Okay.
So when you get in here, you can ask him. But
if he can come back relatively soon, the immediate rematch is on the table for him.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's what makes the most sense.
He deserves that. Yeah.
Perhaps in St. Louis, that would be great.
And I'll tell you, and Primus he's tough.
He is tough.
I'll tell you, at the press conference here in New York, when we announced the fight, Chael came up to me and says, "Scott, I'm telling you, this kid's tough. Michael's going to have his hands full on every level with this guy because he's a tough guy, and you should keep your eye on this guy. Don't underestimate him."
Wow.
Yeah. So when Chael said that, so he must be have his goods.
What are you thinking when Chael goes into promoter mode and starts like running down? I mean, it's good for the brand and everything, but it's like it almost feels like he has to do this. Like he starts talking about Lima and he starts talking about that guy. Do you enjoy that?
We don't tell him to do anything.
Yeah.
I mean, I just sit there. The guy's entertaining.
He's great.
And so to me, he is. We signed him up because of who he is. And we knew he'd be a guy that's going to go out there and be a great mouthpiece and say something. I mean, I think the funniest line in the press conference was, "Why do you call it Madison Square Garden if it's round?" Right? I mean, to me, he just has some great lines. And so I appreciate him. I appreciate his, he's like a promoter.
Did you enjoy that fight? Chael versus Wanderlei.
I mean, listen, I thought it was, Chael's more of a wrestler, taking him down. Wanderlei almost knocked him out twice. Yeah. So it had great transitions back and forth. So to me, it was an entertaining fight.
Would you ever consider doing what the UFC does and make all main events 5 rounds?
You know what? We have talked about that. But when we make that, call, it's going to be forever, right?
Yeah.
So we're not going to go back and forth.
Sure.
So, we're going to take our time in making that decision, But
it's something you're considering?
It's something we've talked about.
Like, is that a fight where you were like, oh, I wish I had 2 more rounds? Or do you feel like 3 was enough?
No, I think 3 was enough. Wanderlei doesn't feel that way. Wanderlei, he's still mad. He's mad. He's mad. He doesn't want to fight.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to fight, He wants to just hug me to death, That's.
But considering all the hype and the story and the years of back and forth, do you feel like that fight delivered?
Yeah, I think it did. I mean, to me, it was an entertaining fight for me to watch. Chael was more explosive this time than I thought he would be, right? And he took him down pretty much at will. Wanderlei had to survive, scramble. But the times that he had a shot and he started punching, Wanderlei did some serious damage. I mean, Chael was almost knocked out twice. So to me, that fight had some entertainment value going into it, and then I think it delivered on the night of.
Are you going to bring Wanderlei back for another fight?
If he wants to, we will for sure.
Do you think he wants to keep fighting?
I think he does.
Yeah.
I think he does. We just, because it's like the aftermath of the fight. He's heading back to Brazil, and, we'll probably talk to him in a week or 2.
I noted before the fight and after that it felt like there was more pressure on Chael just because it feels like Bellator has a little more invested in him because he does the TV work and all that stuff. And the debut was so unspectacular. Can you agree with that? Like he kind of had to sort of prove his worth considering the big signing, the platform you've given him on TV. He had to show up.
Yeah. Well, him as a commentator, he has already delivered as far as I'm concerned.
All right. So the fighting has nothing to do with it.
Fighting has nothing to do with it. And then when the fight happens, Ariel, I just feel like, this is sport. Anything can happen. It's the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, right? I mean, that holds true in our sport too.
Did you like the anthem right before the main event?
I loved it.
Would you prefer the anthem right before the event or main card, or do you like it?
I mean, I grew up like with, when Sugar Ray Leonard fought Duran and they had the national anthems. And it was, it was right before the main event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's why we do it that way.
You're going to keep doing it.
And having Dave Navarro there, I mean, I thought that was a really
did a great
cool thing.
job.
I mean, listen, you were at the press conference. I mean, you walk into 1515 Broadway, you see, this is Viacom. This is a property owned by Viacom, and you see little tidbits here and there, and that's what they can deliver. They can deliver some big star entertainment for the national anthems and the distribution on Spike, the distribution on World. I mean, it's a powerful media company that really loves MMA, and I'm talking about from the top down.
Yeah, Kevin Kay is in the media room talking to us. John Slusser as well. It's great to see not only how enthusiastic they are about MMA, but also just how down to earth they are.
Yeah.
I once worked for another TV company. The executives would not be mingling with the media in the press room. I can tell you that. Chael said afterwards that he wants to fight Fedor, and this was a bit out of left field. Fedor just got knocked out. Chael won. Are you interested in this?
I don't know if that's a fight that interests me really.
Okay.
I mean, I can think of some other fights for him.
Please, sure.
We don't have to talk about it right now.
Do you have something in mind for Chael?
I do, but I'd like to present to Chael first.
Okay.
And Fedor, I met with Fedor last night, and he was really apologetic. He said he was so sorry. I said, Fedor, you're a legend. These things happen. I mean, I even said at the media day, I said, look, I think this fight's not going to go the distance, and it's going to be whoever gets there first. I didn't know they were both going to get there at the same time.
Tremendous.
And then it was, Matt getting up first and getting dominant position, and Matt's a finisher.
I think the football skills helped him in that regard.
Maybe that's
up.
what it is, right? Yeah, those drills.
Do you want to see Fedor keep fighting? He said afterwards he will, but there's no denying he has taken some big shots over the years.
I talked about that last night. I said, Fedor, you have nothing to prove.
Right.
Just go back to Moscow and take some time off, go on vacation, go on holiday, and then let's talk, when you're ready. But, he has nothing to prove. He's already done it all, man. I mean, this guy, you've seen him in the Pride days and when he fought for us. I mean, he's had a great career, and, if he wants to do something in the future, we'll have that conversation at that time.
But he didn't say definitively, because he did say on Saturday, I'm a fighter, I'll keep fighting.
No, he told me, I want to fight Matt Mitrione in a rematch.
Oh, really?
He told me.
But is there a need for a rematch? It was so clean, right? I mean, everyone wants a rematch.
I don't know if it was that clean. I mean, you're talking about he was a second off from connecting first.
Yeah. So are you leaning towards a rematch?
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, when you have big guys like that can punch, I mean, really punch, then, the first guy gets to the chin is usually the winner. And they both got there together. And then, like you said, Matt got up first and, had dominant position. But, I think that fight, if they fought 10 times, it could be 5-5.
What is it like working with his team now? Because it's a bit of a different team.
Oh, I love it.
They're good. Jerry Millen, the crew.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's no drama.
Okay.
Like before. Before it was just,
It was tough.
And I don't even want to get into it because it's, I don't want to say anything, that's going to make anybody look bad. But at the end of the day, it's easy now.
Okay.
And it's so much better. And I think Fedor's happier. We have a direct relationship. And before, I think he was kind of out in the dark. And I'm talking to a guy that I don't even know what the guy's telling him. It's,
right.
Now it's just him and I direct. So
surely you scolded Matt Mitrione afterwards for taking a shot at the Warriors on the microphone.
I heard about that.
What is up with that?
That's disappointing. But listen, it's Matt's a great guy.
He is great.
He's great for the sport. He's been great for us, and he had a big victory. I mean, that was probably the victory of his career so far.
You alluded to something in the press conference about kind of dragging your feet a little bit with the heavyweight division, and you're going to get what's going on
as these free agents unfolded and these legend fights unfolded. We said we're going to focus on our welterweight division or our 205 division. Let's go get, and so that's kind of where we focused. And then we've had some heavyweights approach us that maybe we weren't interested in or we didn't want to kind of deal with them. But I think now is the time to go after some heavyweights and keep building our heavyweights and sign more heavyweights. And then with Roy, we got Czech Congo. We still have Bobby Lashley in the mix, and we have Karatanov and Matt. And now we have a good stable of guys that we could have some really fun fights.
Are you going to bring in a title? Because you have Minakov, but have you actually stripped him?
Yeah, he's been stripped.
He has been stripped. So is he no longer under contract?
No, he's under contract.
Okay,
So-
just stripped for inactivity because he's still fighting, just not with you.
Well, I mean, I don't even know how much he's fighting. You know,
He fought not that long ago for EFN, I think.
I have no idea.
Okay.
But all those fights are in Russia, and
Yeah.
you know, it's that's a tough jurisdiction. But
Why doesn't he just fight for you?
you know what? They try to come at us with a renegotiation deal, and we were just not interested. In that.
Okay.
So you want to honor your contract? You sign a contract. What's wrong with honoring what you have?
Okay. So at some point, do you think you'll crown a new champion? Because I feel like you have enough.
Yeah.
Do you think this year?
I think this year.
Are you going to do a Grand Prix?
You know what? I think we need a few more pieces for that. But
Okay.
I don't. You know how I am. You might see it at some point. Maybe it won't be in the heavyweight division.
Oh, really?
Yeah, maybe not.
Well, what are you thinking? Which division?
I can't
Come
say
on,
right
you said
now.
you had some
We
news
got
for
some
us.
top secret stuff.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Big things.
Deep undercover.
Are you bringing back Dynamite?
Well, yeah, but it's going to be in a different way. Well, let's talk about that. September 23rd, right? So
Okay.
we have the
Benson
the
Henderson?
fight, the Benson Henderson fight with
Tricky,
Pitbull
yeah.
and Roy. But we're also going to have Kevin Nelson fighting and Joe Schilling and Raymond Daniels, and they're going to kickbox.
Oh, you're going to do a dual show.
We're going to do a dual show, but we're not going to do it like Dynamite where we had separate. We're going to do it like we did in Europe where the cage comes down, and I'm not sure if
Oh,
you've
I
seen
was
it.
wondering how
Yeah.
you did that.
Yeah, it's
So how does it work? That you lift the cage up?
the cage is already lifted up.
Okay.
And then there's a boxing ring.
Okay.
And so we filmed the kickboxing, and then when they tear the boxing ring down, and the way it was designed was the cage just comes right down on top of it, and it bolts in, and it takes 13 minutes to get it done, the transition.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
So you're going to do both on Spike?
Yeah, it'll be, the MMA will be live. The kickboxing part, I'm not sure if it'll be live or taped
Okay.
at this
Are
point.
you going to do a tournament again?
As far as...
Last time you did Dynamite, you had the light heavyweight tournament, one night tournament.
yes.
Are you going to bring that
Yeah.
back? A one night tournament?
You know what?
format?
Not for September.
Okay. But do you want to keep doing those?
Yeah, I love the tournaments.
Yeah.
To me, tournaments is, martial arts was, from a tournament format, right? When
Right.
even when you're just a little karate, going to karate, you're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a 10-year-old, you're fighting a tournament, there's like 30 people there, you just pair them up. But I think that, like compared to Bellator when I first came on board, we had a tournament format, but tournaments should happen when you have 8 big stars that are legitimate.
Okay.
To me, that's what makes it exciting.
Okay. One other thing about Chael, he mentioned that he has some kind of issue with Rory McDonald. They have to fight.
He wants to fight Rory.
What is the deal here? Do
I have
you know?
no idea. But he told me about 2 weeks ago, he said, I want to fight Rory McDonald. Can you make it happen? And I said, well, we have some other plans for
Yeah.
Rory, but maybe down the line, if he wants to move to 185 and you want to go down to 185, maybe we could put that fight together.
I don't like it right now. I want to see Rory get the belt. Chael do his Legends
Rory
tour.
and Lima,
Yes.
to me, that's exciting.
Okay, so let me ask you about Lima Larkin.
Sure.
Did you feel that, I mean, you talk about hype. There was a lot of hype put on that one. I mean, the expectations were out of this world. Do you feel like it delivered?
You know what? I thought it was a real strategic fight. And was it an entertaining fight? It was an entertaining fight. But I think once Larkin started taking leg damage and he switched sides, I think it threw off Lima a little
Yeah.
bit. Lima's a good counterpuncher. Lorenzo was kind of cautious coming in after he got caught. I think it was the second round. So, I mean, to me, the first 2-3 rounds were better than the last 2 rounds,
Yeah.
let's say. So
Lima is very underrated, though.
the
feel
guy,
like he doesn't
the guy
really
is a
get
beast. He hits I mean, I was sitting right there. He hits everything so hard. Like in Thai boxing, that's how they teach him,
Yeah.
It's like everything is hard. They're punching to knock you out. They're kicking to knock you out. I mean, he hit Lorenz with 2 leg kicks that weren't checked. And after that, Lorenz had to switch sides because he took so much damage on that leg. And, he'll tell you that himself. He told me that last night. He goes, I had to switch sides because the guy, kicked me so hard. I had to switch.
What are the chances you do, as we say hello to the Canadian flag, it's Canada Day coming up,
yes.
July 1st. What are the chances you do that fight in Canada?
It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. But, we're still putting the rest of the schedule together for the end of the year. But, we talked to a couple of venues up there. And
That would
we'll
be
see.
awesome.
Yeah, we have our Canadian consultants that we're talking to.
Oh,
that
who are those people?
I can't tell you.
Okay, because you also have a Canadian women's featherweight champion, Jimmy
Yes,
Budd,
yeah.
who also just so happens to come from the same province as Rory,
right.
British Columbia. So I feel like it would make a lot of sense.
So it's just going to be a matter of whether
Okay.
it's Toronto or whether it's in Vancouver.
Okay.
But we will go to Canada. I would say whether it's the end of this year or first quarter next year.
I hate to say it, but I feel like Toronto would be best just because of the media that you would receive there. It's the media capital of Canada.
yeah.
It hurts me to say that. as a Montrealer, but
Right.
you'll get more buzz in Toronto.
Yeah,
That's
I think
free
that,
advice.
no, and we're talking to all the venues, so
Okay.
we'll see in a lot. Will depend on what date's available and does it match our date and that sort of thing because we got a pretty busy schedule at the end of the year.
Do you think you will fight again this year, Rory?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. By the way, as I'm thinking, I'm kind of running down the card here, but there was a little incident with Paul Daly. We're just kind of firing you with questions here, but Daly and MVP came out with this video saying Daly turned down the fight. You wanted to go in September, right, to England. From your perspective, what's happening here?
Well, it wasn't that clear cut. I mean, what happened was, Paul called out MVP.
Yeah.
And so we reached out to Paul and said, hey, do you want to fight before September?
Yeah.
And he said, no, I don't want to fight before September. He said, I'll fight MVP, but I'll fight him at the beginning of the year.
Oh.
So that fight will happen. It's going to happen in London, and it'll probably be first quarter next year.
So are you going to keep MVP on the sidelines till then?
No, we told him he could go box.
Oh.
And,
Box or kickbox?
Box.
But you don't promote boxing.
No, but we have a deal with the local promoter.
Oh, okay.
there.
Why not have him for Bellator kickboxing?
Well, we asked him, do you want to kickbox or do you want to box?
He prefers boxing.
He prefers boxing. He wants to
Okay.
get a couple fights in. Probably get ready for Paul. Paul's got some good hands. So
that's what he'll do.
yeah, so we said, go ahead and go ahead and go do that. And just like we did the deal with Lou
DiBella.
Lou DiBella, right?
Man.
So it's exactly opposite. It's like, we're kind of lending out MVP to go box.
Interesting.
And then I told him, MVP, if you want to come kickbox, so you can fight MMA for the year after your boxing, you're more than welcome to. Or if you want to take a couple boxing fights, go ahead and just get ready for this fight beginning next year.
Okay, so that's the plan, though. They will fight in London. What a great fight that will be for London. Okay, so talking about free agent signings, Ryan Bader is now your light heavyweight champion. He beats Phil Davis, and the worry was that it would be a lot like the first fight. Do you think it was too much like the first fight? Did that one not deliver?
You know what? I think it was different in the sense that this fight I felt like because I was right there.
Yeah.
They were throwing some heavy blows.
Yeah.
Look at Phil's face, right? I mean, Phil threw some heavy blows. These guys were trying to throw some heavy blows. I think that when they started booing, it was almost like, man, this crowd's tough. These guys are trying to really take it to each other.
Well, up until that point, they were kind of spoiled, right?
Well, yeah.
It was like finish after finish after finish. So I think that they were just getting antsy.
Yeah. Maybe we should open with that fight.
Yeah, well, maybe.
And then we should have closed with Heather's fight.
That's right. But do you feel like he won? Because it was a little bit controversial. Some I saw thought that Phil won.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I think honestly, in my eyes, it could have went either way.
Okay.
And that's why it was a split decision.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you're just kind of making a decision one way or the other as a judge. And it's tough. I would not want to be a judge. I was a judge one time. For a kickboxing fight, way back.
Just once in your entire life?
Just once. And I said, I will never be a judge again, ever.
It's a lot of pressure.
I will never be a referee. I will never be a judge. I'm just not built that way. It's just, you have to have, I think, a unique, something in you that...
Thick skin?
Thick skin. Maybe, being a promoter, you got to have some thick skin.
That's true.
Too. But I think that, you get the pressure from the crowd. I'm sure these judges sitting there and it's boo this, boo that, and then one way or the other at the end of the day somebody's gonna be upset, and I just don't like that feeling.
Do you like the idea of putting the judges in the back so they're not influenced by the crowd?
No, I think they should be right there where they can see it, because the thing about it is when you're watching a fight like that up close, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Right. So you can feel the power or the lack of power of those punches or techniques.
Yeah.
And so I think that they should be right there.
Okay. Do you have any idea? And it was a really nice moment with Bader finally getting a belt. He's never won gold in MMA. I was bummed for him that he didn't get a chance to address the crowd, because I know you were kind of running out of time as far as getting into
we were out of time.
It was like 1 minute, right?
Yeah, we were out of time.
Whoever made the call to move the Gracie fight, good on you, because then you would have had a disaster.
Well, no. That was always a swing bout.
A swing bout, okay.
Swing bout.
Who's the number one contender? Is it King Mo? Is it someone else?
Bader should fight King Mo next.
Yeah?
Yeah, King Mo's ready to go down to 205 and ready to fight before the end of the year.
Wow.
So maybe we'll have Bader and King Mo before the end of the year.
Does this change your plans? I know you were talking about going to Penn State.
No, not at all. We're going.
You'll still go with Phil and
Ruth and a bunch of wrestlers. Maybe that's where Pico could make his comeback there. Make it like a wrestling comeback. But I think that it doesn't have anything to do with it.
Okay. What could we say about James Gallagher? What a revelation.
Yeah.
I mean, 20-year-old kid doing that, walking up to Shinzo.
Yeah.
I mean, the cojones on this kid, right? I don't know what they're doing in Ireland, but to make these guys so damn cocky is something else.
And the girls there too, they're tough.
It's unbelievable. But you have to be blown away by this, right? I mean, did you expect this soon from this guy? I could see you like him, like when he comes up with the face-offs. There's a bit of a twinkle in your like. I mean, this is a promoter's dream. This guy sells fights and he delivers.
We signed him because we think he's talented and he's a young up-and-coming guy. But he's now at the cusp of taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
And that's how you kind of test, the talent you have. Right? He's like, is he going to be the guy that we, can he like, is he going to be the guy that we could invest in and build for the next 2 or 3 years? I think, and time again, he proves it.
Yeah.
And I think the fight, like the Young Guns fight at this point, might be him and McKee.
Well, they hate each other, but then he says that McKee made it up and it's fake and all this stuff. So I don't know who to believe.
Yeah.
What about Gallagher versus Freeman?
Yeah, why not?
Because now you got Freeman as the prospect killer.
Right. That's right. There you go.
I like that fight.
We'll have to change his name from the Altar Boy to the Prospect Killer.
Cool. He'll be the guy who ruins all of Bellator's plans, knocks off all your young guns. I like it.
No, we listen, it's that'd probably be an interesting fight. I think we could promote that fight. Maybe we'll do that fight in Ireland.
Wow. Are you planning on going back?
Oh yeah, we're definitely gonna go back.
They're very upset with you, the Irish fans. All day long.
No, they should be happy.
Okay.
Today? Are they upset today?
What happened today?
No, were they upset today or
Well, because they're always like, I can't watch.
Okay, no, but you saw the release. They could watch it live.
Okay, pay-per-view.
They could watch it live on pay-per-view.
Right.
But and it's kind of complicated because the way you have to put this international distribution, it's really like a puzzle, right?
Okay.
Because you have Spike, and then you have Channel 5, and then you have the pay-per-view that was offered through YouTube.
Okay.
But also you have the 180 show, right? So in the Republic of Ireland, right?
Yeah.
We were able to offer the 180 show for free.
Okay.
And then you could buy the pay-per-view if you wanted to.
Oh, okay.
Right. And then, but in the UK and the rest of the UK, including Northern Ireland, we couldn't offer the 180 as part of the offering.
Okay.
They had to only get the pay-per-view fight.
Oh.
So we had to buy it. But if you live in the Republic of Ireland, you got the 180 for free. And then if you want to buy the pay-per-view, you could buy the pay-per-view. So no more complaints.
Okay. I would like to see you do that. When you guys do one of these overseas shows like Daily McDonald's,
have it offered here.
Offer it on YouTube for pay-per-view. I'll buy that. I don't want to wait 6 hours to watch McDonald make his debut. This is 2000. Could you imagine if the Warriors playing the Spurs was on 6-hour tape delay? You'd lose your crap.
Yeah. I mean, no, I understand.
It's a problem.
It is. And it's just
it's hard to watch sports when you know what happened.
Yeah, but it's it's a big company.
Yeah.
With a lot of tentacles, and as far as trying to put all the pieces together after some of these deals were done years ago.
Okay.
So that's really the question, and it's something that I think we're constantly working on. And honestly, that's how we got this deal done with YouTube and the distribution. But when we announced the distribution to the UK, we said pay-per-views, you can go watch it live. And then you can watch it on Spike on Monday for free if you want to wait. But you can't get 180. Then the boopers come, right?
Yeah, you can't please everyone.
And then in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, we could do both, right? And so now they're happy. But the UK fans aren't happy because they want to see 182. So it's like, hey, we're trying.
You are trying.
Can't make everybody happy.
He came up to you. I saw him come up to you. He's wearing this amazing leopard jacket. It says Savage on the back.
I gave it to him.
What you gave him that jacket? Oh, okay. It was part of your closet. What did he say to you when he walked up to you? It seemed like he came up to you. Do you remember? You were sitting there cage side? Yeah.
We just said, I'd say congratulations.
Okay.
And he said, hey, did you like my performance? I saw I was very impressed. Because he did exactly what he's supposed to do. Go in there, take care of business.
Yeah.
And then, and to me, I was surprised. I thought it'd be a longer fight.
Do you want to continue being in the Heather Hardy business?
Yeah, I think if she wants to.
Because you don't have that division, really. I mean, like you have it, but you don't. Yeah.
But, I mean, to me, you have super fights.
Yeah.
Come on, it's like there's plenty of people. There's plenty of females out there worldwide.
It seemed like it was a revelation to her. Like she had never fought before, and afterwards she says, "I've fallen in love. I love this."
And if Ryan Bader or whoever went out and made $1 million in sponsorship, good for you.
Okay.
We don't touch any of that.
What did you think of the announcing? So this was a new era. You had Goldie on Spike, and I have to say, when I walked into the media room and I'm hearing Goldie speak, and Jimmy Smith kind of sounds like Rogan. I forgot where I was for a second.
Kind of looks like Rogan.
Yes,
too, right?
he does. And then you had Morrow, and unfortunately, I didn't get to hear Morrow because I was in the arena by then. But you were listening. I saw you had the cans on. What was it like?
It was fantastic. Honestly, I mean, we have the best play-by-play guys in the business.
Yeah,
I think we have the best announcing crew in the business. I mean, Schaub did a great job. Josh Thompson did a great job.
Yeah, he did. I heard him.
And Jen Brown did a great. I mean, we had an all-star cast of crew of the whole production, play-by-play and color, and also the table of the booth. Those guys did an amazing job. Morrow and Goldie, think about the history between those two guys of every fight they've ever called.
Yeah.
It is really the history of MMA. So the knowledge that you're hearing and the voice you're hearing, and it's just like, it's just impressive to me, because it's just like this is what MMA is, right?
Yeah.
This is who created the voice. These are the voice of MMA.
Are you going to do the desk thing for like all your big events? Do you like
I think
that?
for the big fights, moving forward, yeah.
And so like the next event, the one coming up, Campos is fighting, I think, is it in Thackerville, your next one?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who does that one? Morrow or Goldie?
I'm not sure.
Is it basically like a scheduling thing?
Yeah, I think it's a scheduling thing. That's really a Fish question. He's talking to the guys
Scott Fishman?
now.
Okay.
Yeah, and they handle production.
My former boss when I worked at Spike.
Really?
Scott Fishman, yes, back in 2007.
Wow.
I was there for like a month.
I remember that.
Yeah.
I mean, I vaguely remember that.
Yeah, so it was nice to see actually some familiar faces who I have not seen in quite some time. Speaking of which, 2007, go ahead, please.
No, I was to say was, like when we have a guy that comes from, UFC to Bellator, it's so funny the reaction because they're like, oh, it's the same Spike crew.
Yeah.
Right? It's Kevin.
Sure.
It's John. It's Fishman. I'm like the new guy. In the circle, so to speak. So.
And they have Goldie.
Yeah, and then it's like just have some employees running around, lots of familiar faces. But it's now we have Goldie. It's like it's just funny because it's just their commitment. Their commitment has never stopped since 2006, since they got involved in the Ultimate Fighter. I
mentioned this to you as we almost wrap up here, and again, I appreciate it. I know you're going to the airport, right?
Yes.
From here. Mm-hmm. I mentioned this to you at the weigh-in, so it's not going to catch you off guard, but there was something somewhat poetic about doing this show on Saturday, almost 10 years to the day of the Baroni Shamrock pay-per-view. Was that your first pay-per-view with Strikeforce?
With Strikeforce, yes. It was
on
a co-promotion
Showtime.
With Pro Elite.
Yeah.
At that time.
And so, I mean, you've come a hell of a long way since then, but I love that feud. That's one of my favorite feuds of all time. What do you remember? When I say Shamrock Baroni, what do you remember?
I remember Frank's pitch tape or the comedy tape.
It was great.
Yeah, Frank is he's another guy that's just a great promoter himself.
That was the first feud to really use like social media and YouTube and kind of do it on their own.
Yep.
Because it wasn't a UFC event, obviously.
Right.
But the experience of co-promoting with Pro Elite, not your favorite, right?
Well, it was interesting, and I'll just make it short. But what I remember was, we had this production meeting, right? And on my side, we might have had 4 people, myself and Carrie, my assistant, and Jim Gordon, and, like one other person. Then on this side, there's like 35 people. And it's Gary Shaw and his crew and, and Rich and JD, and they were all, and I look over and this is what I said. David Dinkins was about to start the meeting. I go, I have a question. What do all you guys do? Like, I don't, like, what, there's only 4 people. We're doing all the work. We're promoting the fight.
Yeah.
Why do you guys have to bring 35 people to town? I go, you're spending, because it's a co-promotion. I feel like half of that money should be my money,
sure.
Right? So I'm like, hey, you guys got to cut back. You guys send some people back home because I don't know what you guys do. And anyway, it was not a good experience working with them because it's almost like we got involved because of a lawsuit and this and that, and then literally, I don't want to say who the name is because we're in good terms now, but it was. They're running out in the middle of the cage, measuring their logo compared to my logo.
That is petty,
right? And I just remember going, it just like, so that's just one of the things, and it was just really hard to deal with at that time. But we got through it. We ended up acquiring him.
Yes,
got a lot of great fighters from it, and the rest is history.
Will you sign Chuck Liddell?
We're talking to him about a deal for like a brand ambassadorship right there.
Okay,
at this point,
but not fighting.
No, we have not talked about fighting.
Okay, are you interested?
So, I mean, I don't really know if he's interested.
Yeah,
So
like the thing you do with Hoyce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I mean, come on, at these fan fests, there's thousands of people who come to these things sometimes, and he would be a great. I mean, he's one of the guys. I mean, Randy, Chuck, and Tito were that's what built the UFC,
right?
Or kept MMA sustained.
Yeah.
And for them to go out and interact with the fans and meet the fans, and the fans really appreciate it. I can tell you that. And so of course we would do that.
Seems like Tito's got an itch there. He's causing all kinds of commotion cage side. What's he doing?
It's funny because the fans are like, F you, Tito. Yeah. I'm like, I feel like I'm in like some kind of like a Dodgers game. Like the Giants.
I think he's going to fight again. What do you think?
We haven't talked about it, but he told me he's retired. So until I hear otherwise, he looked good in his last fight though.
Yeah,
he looked in shape.
Of course.
Looks like
Are you going to sign Gegard Mousasi?
Gegard, I don't think we can talk to him for a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. So
are you interested?
When we can talk to him, we will talk to him.
Do you got anything up your sleeve before you go? Any parting gifts?
You know what? It's been a great year for Bellator.
It has been a great year. Does it feel like you've turned the corner? Like, does it feel on this Monday morning it's a whole new day for you guys?
You know
has
what?
Something changed?
It feels like the stamp has been solidified.
Okay. You do feel that way?
Yeah. Oh, of course. I mean, there's a lot of people on social media or whatever. They're always kind of negative or ripping on you. But this event, we got so many positive feedback, and how I feel is the building of the roster from the bottom up is going to continue. The building from the roster from the top down, free agents, is going to continue, and we already have a solid roster in the middle. So I'm extremely happy where the roster is right now. And if you look at this thing as a whole, it's light years away from what it was 3 years ago, and now we can put on big fights. And, some people, like when Fedor walked down, he's still the king, man. I don't care what you say. There's some other fighters that are fighting or whatever, and, wherever they're fighting, we could give them a ramp and walk down. Some people wouldn't even know who they are. So to me, Fedor is still the king. He's still a big brand. So like Wanderlei. When Wanderlei walked down, you heard the response in there. It was electric in there. So, I think that these legends have delivered for us, and we're still going to be in the business of building the next guys and signing the top 5-6 guys in the world in each weight class, like the Roy McDonalds of the world, like talking to Gegard, like talking. We're gonna talk to everybody that we can.
And I must say this before we say goodbye. You have a very good reputation in this business, and it's very much deserved. But it warmed my heart so greatly. And some people, this is very inside, but longtime viewers of this show will know about my friend Adam Gallagher, who passed away. And you invited his wife to the event, and I saw her not only at the weigh-ins but the event as well. So it says a lot about you that you would reach out to her and give her great seats. Kudos to you. That was really. I never met her in person, and I felt like I knew her because he talked so much about her. So it really, it was.
And
really
that's
something.
exactly what it was. Adam was like, he was one of our teammates at Showtime, and he and I became friendly and good. And when he showed me his wedding video,
yes, on his YouTube,
and it was the girl from Pride,
Lenny Hart.
Yeah, and she's doing the intros, like fighter intros, and here comes the groomsmen and the bridesmaids. I said, this girl is special. Think about that. How many people, how many girls or family would allow it? So she allowed it. And so I never got to meet her either. This is the first time I met her. So when, Adam passed, as you know, and I saw him probably 7 months before he came out to Mohegan Sun, came to a fight. We were talking, and he just seemed in great spirits, always happy, and had a baby. And then, he passed really fast, and, it was really shocking and devastating. And I said to myself, you know what, I'm going to reach out to Deborah, and we're going to continue this link. This link is not going to die. And, I look forward to inviting her to more fights and spending time and just getting to know her like I knew Adam.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Scott. Congratulations to you and the team. Great night. Yes. It was great to be there. And I told Rich and Mike Hogan, I said, 2017, I'll come to my first Bellator. I'm a man of my word.
Well, this is only one. Now you got to come to San Jose.
Okay, fair enough. Well, let's not get crazy. Thank you so much, Scott. I appreciate it. Safe travels. There he is, the president of Bellator. We're going to say goodbye to him, sort of on the fly here. That's our new thing here. You can.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You can go, Scott.
You can just get out.
Yeah, that's it. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the hell out of here, Scott. No, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. There he goes. A great night for Bellator. And as I said at the top of the interview, great ratings. Spike TV coming out with their numbers, 1.1 million viewers, and Bellator 180 delivered 901,000 viewers. A great weekend for MMA between that event on Saturday, and I thought the OKC card was very entertaining as well. So if you're an MMA fan, you pretty much got everything that you wanted this past weekend.